What's up, design family, and welcome back to another episode of Fittdesign TV. So glad to have you back on the channel. On today's episode, we'll be looking at how you can get your product out into the market and into the hands of your desired end customer. We obviously live in a digital first world where the preferred method for most brands when starting up is the online direct to customer approach, usually via a website. But once you've already established your brand and have a consistent and growing customer base, you'll need to take the necessary steps to grow your distribution channels and to be able to tap into a larger pool of customers. On this episode, we'll explore the 4 most effective channels of fashion business expansion. These are distribution agencies, licensees, and franchisees. By the end of this episode, you should hopefully be able to gauge and determine which of these options is going to be the best suited for your specific use case scenario. Hey guys, and welcome to Fittdesign TV. So glad to have you here. On this channel, we discuss all things sports fashion, graphic design, manufacturing, and technology. We'll discuss key topics, answer pressing questions, and provide actionable steps on starting your own product line. If you're interested in any of the above topics, stick around. You're in for a good one. We'll start off with distributors. What are distributors? Essentially, distributors are going to buy the product from you in bulk, typically with a discount, and will sell it directly either to other retailers or directly to customers. Typically, distributors are going to be able to handle every aspect of the selling process, which will include marketing, inventory, and sometimes even the after-sales service. Some of the characteristics of distributors is that first, they do have ownership of your products. Also, they have the complete right to make decisions regarding how to sell your products and how to promote them at the same time. Also, they will be able to sell your products underneath their own trademarks, meaning that you may or may not have any involvement in the actual sales decisions. And lastly, distributors reserve the right to actually determine the product margins, meaning that you won't have any ability to determine the final price of your product in the market. Next up, we have distribution agencies. So unlike distributors, distribution agents will actually represent your brand within a market and will help you to expand your sales channels and the potential distributors that can buy from you. Agents will present your brand to different distributors and will earn a commission once a distributor or distributors choose to purchase from you. Some of these agencies can even go as far as to help you with your marketing and the after-sales services that your brand can offer. What characterizes your distribution agents is that first, unlike distributors, they actually have no ownership over your product. You still own all the product. They also have no right to make decisions regarding how to sell and market your product. You hold the final key towards these key decisions. And lastly, they will present the products on your behalf, meaning that you'll be able to make the decisions necessary regarding your selling terms and your product pricing. Thirdly, we have your licensees. Licensees will pay royalties to your brand for the rights to use your intellectual property. These can be things like your brand name or your logos. Using their expertise or by connecting with a valuable licensee, you'll be able to expand your manufacturing and your sales channels. Also, they may even be able to handle your production, your marketing, your inventory, your distribution, and even the after-sales services that are typically associated with your brand. Now, let's actually look at some of the key characteristics of a licensee agreement. Well, first is that they'll actually have ownership over your product, specifically the ones that you've mentioned beforehand in the contract. They'll also be able to sell products under your trademark and will have the right to be involved in certain key sales decisions. They'll also, since they own the trademarks, will be able to actually create new products using the items that are trademarked. So they'll be able to use your brand name and your logos to create new products that they seem and that they deem as fit. They'll also be able to decide on the margins for these products. So you'll actually have less control over the final prices of your products in the market. Also, yes, they will have to follow strict guidelines and agreements regarding their business and their marketing purposes that you will determine beforehand in your licensee agreement. And lastly, there may be the risk of getting into competition with your own brand because you have 2 different entities that may be creating products using the same trademarks. So that is something that is a potential pitfall. Last but not least, we have the franchisee options. So franchisees will actually pay royalties and typically an initial joining fee to open a store under your trademark. This will allow you to expand your product sales, your point of sales, your manufacturing, and sometimes, depending on the specific ingredient, even your designing. Franchisees will handle a variety of things, from the entire process of the production to the final operation of the store and the actual sales and after sales services. When it comes to some of the characteristics of franchisees, they will have ownership of your products underneath your trademark. Also, they will have the right to make decisions regarding how to sell products specifically under the guidance of your company. They'll also be able to create products themselves, depending again on the specific terms of the contract that you've outlined with them beforehand. They'll also be able to sell products underneath your trademark. However, you will still reserve the right to be involved in the sales decisions and to guide them in this process. They will have to follow strict guidelines and agreements about your brand's product margins and the ways that you sell and market your goods. They will have to receive training from you, know-how, and other support in terms of how to stay on brand, how to create products that are super in line with your vision, your creation, how to curate a sales experience that is in line with what you want, and ultimately how to be a natural extension of the brand that you've created. And lastly, franchisees have the special ability to be able to apply their own local market knowledge, which can be an invaluable tool when expanding into foreign markets. Well, that is a wrap on this episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit more of a business-focused episode, but it should have given you the intro necessary to make the right decisions in terms of what expansion methods are the right decision for you. Yes, you may not be at that stage right now, but in a couple of years or a couple of months or however long it takes. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Well, that is a wrap on this episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I know it was a little bit more of a business dense and business focused episode, but it should have given you the intro necessary for you to be able to make the decision in the future in terms of what is the right expansion method for you. Whether it's in 2 months or in 2 years or in 2 decades, hopefully you can look back at this episode and it'll give you the right foundation and platform. Guys, if you guys enjoyed this episode and you enjoyed this series, consider smashing a massive thumbs up. It really does help us out. Also, we put out great content on a week-to-week basis, and it would mean the absolute world to us for you to join us along for the ride. Guys, thank you again so much for tuning in to this episode of Fittdesign TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.